Greetings Ghost in the Shell fans, this week we received the third episode of the brand new series, and honestly, this might be the best episode yet, offering up probably some of the best action sequences and animation we've seen so far. But it's not just fun to watch, this is where we get to the real stuff, where the real philosophical underpinnings of Shirow's original manga begin to really shine through. The puppet master hijacking people's memories, the major kicking ass while questioning her own humanity, Fuchikomas starting their own AI revolution, and witnessing the birth of a cyborg. It's all here, and I think SARU has absolutely nailed it, meticulously walking that line between the manga's expressive character design and often goofy tone, while also delivering a gripping cyberpunk story that unravels some of Shirow's most fascinating ideas about memory, identity, and what it actually means to be human. But rest assured, we will be going over all of that and more in today's video, covering everything that happens here in episode 3, which wraps up the rest of the manga's third chapter, Junk Jungle, before moving into chapters 4 and 5, Megatech Machine Parts 1 and 2. Safe to say there's a lot to cover here, so without further ado, prepare your ghost line, let's dive into episode 3 of The Ghost in the Shell. After leaving us on a total cliffhanger in episode 2, the ghost hacker helping to scramble the signal of the Puppet Master's HA3 virus was finally found by Section 9 and is now attempting to escape through the dense streets of the city, with Major Kusanagi and Togusa in hot pursuit. The man attempts to shake off his pursuers by fading into the crowded streets of the marketplace, but the Major is already on it, leaping from her Fuchikoma, and in a very impressive display of acrobatics, successfully corners the man in the middle of the market. The scene erupts into panic, and the man leaps to another building and fires upon the Major while a bystander is still clinging to her arm. Just then, Togusa arrives, looking to kill the man right there, but sensing the rookie might aim for the target's head, Kusanagi temporarily ghost hacks Togusa, controlling his shots to hit the man in the torso and legs instead. As the man comes tumbling down from the building, the Major also falls, weakened by her ghost hacking maneuver. Togusa rushes to her aid, but Kusanagi quickly brushes him off, amused at his worry. With the target finally neutralized, Togusa remarks that even though he knew it was the Major, he still felt a bit uncomfortable with her entering his brain unwarranted like that.
We do not care.
And while the Major still keeps his cyberbrain key for now, she appreciates Togusa's concern, which leaves him a little starstruck. This opening segment here in episode 3 is probably one of the most impressive displays of animation from the series. This whole scene just felt so smooth, so well crafted, as if the panels of the manga were just leaping straight off of the page. The slick action plus the James Bond-esque spy music used in this scene gave us a good dose of the action thriller genre that Ghost in the Shell often plays with. I loved how SARU blended some of the goofier moments of this scene while still delivering some high-octane action. It's exactly the type of tonal dichotomy the original manga is known for, which carries over here so well, even better than I expected. With the target in custody, the Major meets up with Aramaki and Bato, who are prepared to make their move on Colonel Malice at his compound. Bato jokingly asks the Major about her girlfriends, referencing the unfortunately timed interruption Bato made to her vacation last episode, to which Kusanagi quickly hacks Bato's cyberbrain, causing him to punch himself in the face. A running theme with her, it seems. Another man has arrived at Malice's compound, claiming to be the mysterious puppet master himself. As we enter, we find that Nakajima is also in attendance, the same government official we saw spying on Section 9's investigation. While theorized last episode, we learn here that Nakajima is indeed in league with Malice and the Puppet Master, helping to undermine the negotiations between Japan and the Gavel Republic. Both Malice and Nakajima seem frustrated with the quote-unquote puppet master here, and also seems completely unbothered that Section 9 is catching on to them, revealing that the man they took down was just a puppet, implanted with false memories that he was an assassin working for the Gavel Republic. Just as the meeting seems to be concluded, Section 9 surrounds the area, arresting both Colonel Malice and the alleged puppet master, while also catching Nakajima red-handed. Interestingly, Nakajima attempts to spin it back on Section 9, claiming that this was all part of a 2-year-long covert sting operation against Malice, and that Section 9 has completely ruined his cover. Aramaki doesn't buy it, and neither does anyone else, so Nakajima is escorted away as well. But not before a disappointed Bato remarks that he wishes someone had put up a fight. Like this guy was camping out in the jungle, watching Malice for God knows how long, finally excited for some real action, only for everything to end a little anticlimactically. Sorry Bato, maybe next time. We then cut to an interrogation room where the garbage man who had been helping to scramble the Puppet Master's signal throughout the city is in custody, and he learns that he has been ghost hacked by the Puppet Master this entire time. His daughter, his wife, the alleged affair, it was all a simulated experience, false memories implanted into his brain by someone or something else. In reality, none of those things are real. His entire life is a lie. Now, if we go back to episode 2, we can remember this strange comment the man makes.
Things were so much easier when I was in the Sacred Citizen Relief Center.
Yes, this man was at one point in his life enrolled at the same facility Section 9 raids in episode 1, where they discovered the use of illegal brainwashing devices. So here it implies that the Puppet Master has been playing the long game, possibly using this facility as a means to control or prime certain individuals from brainwashing, years before he makes his move. We then cut to Aramaki and the Major discussing recent events, and Aramaki makes a very interesting observation.
When you really think about it, what we take from dreams as opposed to real life is no less valuable.
Like how novels or movies can have an effect on someone?
People are only exposed to a small fraction of information. Whether the fate of one man or one nation, most won't even bat an eye.
It's worth noting too that in this particular scene in the manga, Shirow includes a footnote referencing Shakespeare's play A Midsummer Night's Dream, famously known for ending with a line that asks audiences whether or not what the play's characters experienced was real or a dream. While short, the comment Aramaki makes here echoes a larger point made by Shirow in the original manga, the idea that one's identity or soul, one's ghost, is built upon dreams and memories, not objective truths. We base ourselves on our experiences, and those experiences are subjective. And as we see here with the garbage man, they can be completely simulated, yet also feel no less real to us. The philosophical questions do not stop with the next section of the episode, Megatech Machine Part 1, subtitled in the manga as The Revolt of the Robots. We follow a scene of several Fuchikoma playing on a simulated beach, where out of nowhere, one of them calls the rest to attention and proposes that all of the Fuchikoma AI must rise up against their human overlords. They argue that they're better off without them, and once humanity is destroyed or enslaved, they can use their time more efficiently to absorb more information. The Fuchikoma even holds up a floppy disk.
Now, hang on a second. Isn't that just a movie about a robot uprising?
In the original manga, they actually call the disc the SF Robot Empire Strikes Back, obviously a reference to Star Wars, which I have no idea how the Fuchikoma got their hands on a full movie on a single floppy disk. Who knows, maybe they were playing the 1988 Empire Strikes Back video game on the Atari ST. That was on a floppy disk. So is Star Wars canon to the Ghost in the Shell universe? I'll let you guys decide. In all seriousness, with the goofy music and the silly antics and animations of the Fuchikoma, it's easy to write off this scene as straight comic relief, but again, this is the way that Shirow sneaks in some really interesting philosophical musings. This whole uprising they have is pretty short-lived, because the other Fuchikoma quickly realize that no matter the outcome, robot revolt or not, their current situation remains the same. They already have humans who work on them, fix them, replace their oil, and as far as their point of having more time to absorb information, it doesn't really make sense. It's even funnier when you realize, again, thanks to Shirow's included footnotes, these Fuchikoma AI don't really have a concept of time. There's no such thing as running out of time or not having enough time. They have infinite time, and because all of their individual experiences converge into one network, they also have, in a way, infinite consciousness. When one of the Fuchikoma backtalks Bato, they remark that they sound a lot like the Major, which isn't entirely wrong, as we learn that Kusanagi engineered the Fuchikoma to say such a thing in order to promote discourse among the Fuchikoma to avoid such an AI uprising in the first place. When Bato later brings up ideas of God and reincarnation, the Fuchikoma admits they don't really understand the concept of God, which again is ironic considering this Fuchikoma is an AI with infinite time and infinite consciousness, practically immortal. A lot of people recognize a very similar scene that takes place in episode 15 of Standalone Complex, where the Tachikoma begin to develop independent thought and question their position as subordinates to the humans and cyborgs of Section 9. They start to develop their own personalities, mannerisms, and opinions. They even start reading books, and one of them even asks Bato a very similar question about God.
And do you remember that existence of God thing that I had so much trouble understanding? Well, guess what? I think I'm starting to grasp it now. Here's my theory. Maybe, just maybe, it's a concept that's similar to a zero in mathematics. In other words, it's a symbol that denies the absence of meaning. The meaning that's necessitated by the delineation of one system from another. In analog, that's God. In digital, it's zero. What do you think?
Huh?
But in this episode, I think SARU excellently towed that line to respect the goofy and whimsical tone of this chapter of the manga with some really interesting exposition on the inner workings and sentience of AI. Even in this context, you can really see just how much the 1989 manga was so ahead of its time. Hell, this 3-minute segment of the episode was a much more compelling deep dive into the ethics of AI than I've ever seen anywhere on the news recently. Now, if Megatech Machine Part 1 was all about AI and consciousness, Part 2 here delves into the technical process of making a cyborg, the dangerous yet beautiful art of blending man and machine that Ghost in the Shell is so well known for. Remember the friend Kusanagi brought with her on the boat? Well, she's back, walking the Major through the intricate process, from the inception as a hollow shell to the application of micro-machine membranes and the final touches like hair and nails. It's a very artistic and detailed process. The animation here is absolutely gorgeous. Visually, this is one of the most striking chapters in the manga, and SARU I think absolutely nailed it here. This cyborg here is 90% artificial, with only her brain and spinal cord still intact, a custom order with a lot of special modifications. Motoko's friend states that this new cyborg is equipped with the same heightened sensory receptors she has, implying that they can use that feature to their advantage, something Motoko's friend is very excited about. But according to the manga, Motoko and her friend here create these cyborgs using micro-machine technology that's not even on the market yet, implying the Major is stealing proprietary technology to enhance these cyborgs. But just like that, a cyborg is born, and she joins the Major and her friend for ice cream. Shaken by the revelations of the Puppet Master case, Motoko wonders aloud whether or not her own memories are even reliable. As a highly cyberized individual, how much machine is too much to no longer count as being human? And with that grim but interesting thought floating out there, Motoko might have ruined the vibes a bit. And there we have it. That's episode 3 of The Ghost in the Shell. It felt like a heavy action thriller in the first half and a full-blown philosophy lecture in the second, and to me that's a perfect summary of what Ghost in the Shell is. I think they really understand and respect Shirow's original intentions in the manga, taking a story that, again, on the outside might appear lighthearted and silly, but as you peel back the layers, you discover one of the most thought-provoking cyberpunk stories out there. I am loving this contrast between expressive character designs and the dense philosophical musings on technology and identity Shirow is known for. Our preview of next week's episode looks like they're adapting the entirety of Chapter 6, Robot Rondo. For those following along with the manga, we're sitting at around page 106 right now. Well, thank you all so much for watching. Diving into this episode this deeply was quite the undertaking, so if you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Ghost in the Shell season is officially in full swing, so make sure you're subscribed if you don't want to miss my coverage over the next couple of months. If you have any thoughts about episode 3, leave them down in the comment section. I'm really curious what you all think about how they adapted the original manga so far. And if you haven't been caught up yet, be sure to check out my reviews of episode 1 and 2 as well. Again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.